Hi, good afternoon. It's Friday, and that's Encouragement Friday. Today we're regrouping on the book Living the Limitless Life by Chalessa Jones Reddy. And last week we talked about chapters 1 and 2. And this week we're going to go over chapters 3 and 4. And chapter 3 is Goodbye Fear. And this isn't like, your everyday fears of like, or my everyday fears maybe of like getting into a wreck or some people's zombie apocalypse, something crazy happening with my children, those kind of fears. It's more the kind of fears that hold us back in life and keep us from achieving our goals, that keep us from striving and pressing forward into our dreams. Those are the kinds of fears that we're kind of talking about in chapter 3. And when I had to do some reflecting to really look at how I related to this chapter, because I'm certainly not at a time in my life where I'm playing from a position of fear. I'm definitely would say that I'm playing a very strong position and game of faith in my life right now. But when I dig deep and I look at when I have been in a position where I felt like fear was my adversary and it was something, and that I was playing a game of fear, a lot of that for me, I guess, went into worth. And it was being fearful that even though I've always had an outgoing personality and I can be, I can talk to anybody and I can conversate about anything, I played a game with myself a lot in my life of telling myself that I'm different and that I'm not like the other people that I'm around in whatever situation. And that kind of played into and really kind of developed into a fear more when I first had the girls when they were little. I used that a lot, that fear of not fitting in, to keep me isolated from making other friends of parents and moms. I didn't start having children until my 30s, and I had always had a bunch of single friends who didn't have children. And in between having my children, I moved from where I had all my friends in Arizona back to Arkansas. And, I would see my mom and my sister every now and then, but otherwise I was just really home with my children all the time. And, we'd go to the park, but I still, for some reason, I was so hesitant. I had this belief structured in my mind that I wasn't like other moms, that lots of things about my life were non-traditional, and that I just wasn't going to fit in. And I could sit and cry about how fearful I was of talking to anybody even in the park. And I really was at a time period in my life where I really needed friends a lot. I needed somebody to talk to. I needed somebody that I could relate to. And so that's one place I really can say at that time period, and just different spots all throughout my life, I've told myself that story, that I didn't fit in, that I didn't belong, that I didn't relate, and that the people in that situation weren't gonna like me. And I used that to be fearful of meeting new people and going into situations and having to socialize. And even though it's like people that have known me all throughout my 20s would just be like, oh, that's crazy, like that does not even sound like you. And on the forefront, where I'm at on the front, it probably might not ever seem that way, but it's something that I used over the years, obviously, that grew and grew and grew, that when I had my daughters in my 30s, it really kind of reared its ugly head, how much I had been building into that place of fear of not being accepted by others. And when I don't feel accepted by others, or I have that belief system, it causes me to kind of shrink down into myself, and I don't go into situations. I don't want to try and interact. I don't want to even try, you know. So those are, you know, some times in my life that I really see how I've played from a position of fear is, you know, my self-talk and telling myself about how I could fit into any given situation. So I guess some ways that I've gotten over the whole thing with being fearful about interacting with people is just, you know, forcing myself to start the conversation. You know, if it's at the school, or if it's been with like having a birthday party and having parents come over, like I've just pushed myself into talking with them, because you know what, no matter how different our parenting styles are, no matter how different our lifestyles are, our belief systems, we all have that one thing in common, that, you know, we have children that are in that particular age group and that have their particular things going on. And because in a couple of little situations like that, I pushed myself to interact, I feel really comfortable now. I love that I let myself do that, because when I'm at the school, it's, you know, I can say hey and I can say hi, and I feel like there's so many people, when it's really like 2 or 3, but I feel like there's enough people among those parents that are in my children's different peer groups that I never feel fearful about going into the school. Whereas, you know, 5 or 6 years ago, if I had to be going into the school then and interacting or volunteering in something to do with their class, that I wouldn't have been able to do it. I just wouldn't have even signed up for it, because I would not have wanted to go through the stress and anxiety of wondering if the other parents were going to think I was a weirdo, or that I was just a messed up bad person. That's where I've kind of moved into, is taking baby steps, like in situations like that, getting to know a little bit about that person, getting to know a little bit about their kids. And then if anything, when I do see them, I've always got a little bit to say, like a couple of a family that we know, they've got 2 boys and then 2 twins younger than that. So I've always got that. I've always got conversation to have with them. And anytime we see them out, because it's not just at school, sometimes we've seen them out in the store, and we've always got that to relate to, you know, being tired parents of many children. So that's a way that I've kind of worked through that fear box of mine that I had there. And so you might want to, if you've got some things that you are boxed up in fear about, I might encourage you to think about little steps that you can take, not just running full long into it. You know, if it's interacting with other people, if it's you know, writing or creating in some way, just what are some little baby steps that you can go from a position of playing small about that and playing in a position of fear to moving into, you know, playing differently and approaching that differently. And the second chapter is that we're going to talk about today is chapter 4, and it's jumping into the deep. And this chapter is all about taking some risks. And for those of us that follow and love Jesus, for us it really means stepping into faith. Something that I can relate to this, and something that was as recent as this past week, and it had to do with a project that I was pitching to some clients. It was so detailed, it really felt like, you were giving them the keys to the vault. You know, it's like I almost felt like I had to reveal all of my tips and tricks, all my specialties, in order to be able to really shine and get this position. But at the same time, I pushed myself to take the risk, you know, to take a leap, that I had all the necessary tools, I had all the talent, I had all the things necessary to be the one to win this project. And I pushed into it finally. You know, I really dug my feet deep into faith, and that's, you know, that's a lot about jumping into the deep, in my opinion, is jumping deep and hard into my faith and my belief system that I am in line with where I'm going and what I'm supposed to do. And when I was done with the project, I was so excited, because even if I felt so good about it, I knew it was the best, I knew I was going to win, and I felt so good that I was aware that I had the format for doing this for so many other clients, that I would never have to really work as hard as I did again on this type of project, because I already had built the framework in order to do this presentation for this client. So that was my kind of, you know, safety net going in. But I had such faith that I was going to, like I said, win the project. And, you know, I woke up this morning and I did not win. I didn't win. And I can tell you that in what my old belief system used to be, I would have went right into a lot of negative self-talk with myself. I would have beat myself up about mostly just believing in myself. That's the place where I would have started. Like, I would have, you know, really went on an internal rant with myself about how I should have never thought I could get that, and I shouldn't have, you know, built myself up, and, you know, just a lot of ugly talk to myself. But I didn't, you know, and even though there's been times today that I still really think that I should have won that, I realize that there's nothing personal about it. You know what? It's business, and deeper than that, I have a strong faith that if it's supposed to be in my life, it's gonna be in my life. And if it's not supposed to be in my life, no matter how much I build it up to myself that this is something I want, or something that I need, or that I just want to win at, then I have to remember that my faith isn't just in my ability to have whatever I want. It's also my faith in that whatever is meant for me is going to come into my life. And I'm so grateful for that, you know, because obviously in this time period of working on this project, I really thought, like, you know, can I, you know, will I be able to do this? Can I listen to this person? You know, can I listen to this form of media and build content around it? Is this something that is going to hold my attention? And quite frankly, for some reason, as soon as I submitted the project, all of me was just kind of like, blah. I did more research on the people that I was presenting to, and I just, my whole thing with it just started to wane. And that's kind of, to me, my cue that it wasn't something meant for me. And that's a tough thing in life, is sometimes, even though, like, even for me, I can see crystal clear exactly what I want to do, but I have to keep stepping back into faith to know that I'm going to get there, and that I don't constantly have to be filling the gaps in between now and then with what I think has to be put into place for me to get there. So in the end, I'm super glad that I stayed in it. I took a leap of faith. I took some risk, even though I didn't win it. I can look into the heart of the situation and see that I still have the opportunity to win several times more. So I'm wondering, what about you? What is it in your life that is in your fear box? What can you do to say goodbye to fear? Can you think about areas of your life right now that you're playing it small? And are there areas of your life that you see where you could dig deeper into your faith? Your faith in whatever belief system you have. Do you see opportunities right now that you are being beckoned to take a risk on? And do you see how taking faith and moving through your fears can keep you kind of moving towards living the limitless life? Because that's what it's all about, right? Having the best life. So if you haven't picked up a copy of this book, I definitely would encourage you to run over to Amazon and put Living the Limitless Life by Chalessa Jones Reddy in your cart, and you'll be glad that you did. It's an easy read, and if you love Jesus and you love the Bible, it's going to be a great journey through some verses that will help give you a good roadmap to just an unlimited life with limitless possibilities. So thanks so much for checking in with us. I hope you have the best day ever, and we'll chat with you next time.